We come together for a moment out of time in a place made holy by our presence, to celebrate what is deepest and most true, to honor the beauty of our own heart's longing, to cultivate wonder, imagination, and the courage to act, and to care for one another. Please light your chalice. Our common chalice is now lit.
Come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. Come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of disbelieving, ours is no yet again of despair. Come yet again, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of disbelieving, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan whoever is leaving, ours is no caravan whoever is leaving, ours is no caravan of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come.
Welcome to the Church of the Larger Fellowship. I'm Kevin Jago, one of your Learning Fellows. This month, our theme is vulnerability. We are touching both on the positive sides and the challenges of this topic. This week, Meg will talk about vulnerability and power, how who we are changes the way we encounter being vulnerable in this world. We also have a special call to worship from my friend and colleague, Jason Cook, in honor of Indigenous Peoples Day. As we worship, we remember that this week holds not only Indigenous Peoples Day, but also National Coming Out Day here in the United States. As we sit at our keyboards or with mobile screens almost anywhere, we are all together. Those watching on Sunday and those who may be watching months from now, we are joined together for worship across both space and time. Whoever you are, whomever you love, whatever the color of your skin or your country of origin, wherever and whenever on the planet you are at this very moment, whatever your gender, however you define family, and whatever the source of your faith, you are welcome here. Come, let us worship together.
The Reverend Jason Cook from the Unitarian Universalist congregation in Fullerton, and this is a call to worship that I have written for Indigenous Peoples Day. The Columbus of childhood, the hearty adventurer, he who discovered the New World, a plucky sailor who greeted the Indians with a smile and a vision of new cities and the future, that Columbus is gone. Never was. And on the edge of Columbus Day, we sleep no more. We have heard those from history cry, this was not our story. This discovery was no discovery. It was a conquering of people, of civilizations already here. Amidst this violent past, this great country was formed and shaped, built on ideals and hopes and justice, but also violence and history twisted, forgotten. But the echoes of that history bubble up, moving across time itself, finding their ways into the hands of a broken man with a gun in his hands. And so we gather in this holy hour, no longer able to dream the dreams of old, no longer able to ignore the truth of where we come from and who we still might be, at least once in a while. So let us give new names to what has been wrongly named. Let us acknowledge Indigenous Peoples' Day. Let us honor the gifts of the people who were here before, here in their wholeness of life with all its complexities, here in their dreamings of the future, dreams that were not meant to be. Let us hold this day as a sacred one, feeling the echoes of the past and building the way to a future that heals wounds, makes amends, honors the holiness of all humanity. May it be so. Let us worship together.
Let us now pause for a moment of deepening together as a community, for we each carry within us joys that are too great for one heart to hold, sorrows that are too much for one heart to endure, local and world events which call upon us to bear witness. Let us begin by recalling the joys, whatever you may be celebrating or whatever evokes a feeling of happiness or peace for you or for others. Now let us recall our concerns and sorrows, whatever you or the world may be holding that is in need of our healing and caring thoughts. In the heart of love and in the spirit of prayer, we give thanks for this time together, where joys can be magnified and sorrows can be lessened. Blessed be.
Let us now enter into a time of awareness within ourselves and connection beyond boundaries, connection to one another, to that interconnected web of life of which we are but one small thread. In this time of prayerful meditation, we think of all those other lives that connect to ours, and the lives that connect to those, and on and on. As we breathe in, we are connected. As we breathe out, we are connected. Our connections make us strong and vulnerable all at once. In the hard times of physical illness and pain, loss of loved ones, and strained relationships, our connections are precious and help hold us up. In the good times of new life, health, and comfort, our connections to others are precious and magnify our joy. Many times we are in both of these states at once. The moments of joy and the moments of sorrow are not so separate. They make up our moments, our days, weeks, months, and lives. Today, in this present moment, may we hold the joy and the sorrow, the sweetness and the sour of life all at once. We remember the connections we have to the people of Puerto Rico. We remember the connections we have to those who lost loved ones or were injured in Las Vegas. We recall the connections we have to the native peoples of this land, not of the past, but very much of the present. We recall the pain of those displaced through war, empire, extreme weather, and extreme policy. Finally, we remember to hold ourselves with loving kindness each day. As we breathe in, we are connected. As we breathe out, we are connected. We are connected to each other all at once, always, and we remember that we are enough. So may it be.
Mitakyapi, Chantewastenape Ichiuzapi, Terra Rose Weston Imachapi, Pejuta Haka Ematahakshta. My friends and relatives, I greet you all with a warm, heartfelt handshake. Before I go any further, I was taught to always ask the elders that are in attendance for forgiveness for speaking in front of you. My name is Terra Rose Weston, maiden name One Horn. I am Oglala Lakota, and I come from the Medicine Root District in Kyle, South Dakota on the Pine Ridge Reservation. In my Lakota culture, we have virtues that we live by, a few of them being Omaushila, compassion, Monchantagnake, generosity, Woksape, wisdom, and Wolchitike, bravery. My Lakota name is Wuuspemi, knowledgeable woman, a name that was given to me by my maternal grandfather, a fluent Dakota speaker, whom told me that because I had a willingness to learn, I would grow to possess a vast amount of knowledge. And having this thought in the back of my mind has always helped me to move forward from my failures, with my head held high, knowing and believing that each experience was not the last for me. A little bit of my background. I was raised by a single mother, and I grew up a few hundred feet from my maternal grandparents, whom were World War II veterans, and helped raise me. My mother set some prime examples growing up as a small business owner, an Army and National Guard veteran, a college graduate, and she lives a sober life. All I've known was her hard work and support for everything her children have done. And I don't know how she managed to be in 3 places at once, but I see that same work ethic in myself now that I have my own family. My mother is my hero and my strength and my rock. On a more somber note, I grew up without my father. From what I've been told, he was a proud Lakota man, also an Army veteran, a firefighter, among other things. But he abused alcohol. I spent a lot of time being angry with him, thinking that he didn't want to be in my life. And it turns out that addicts distance themselves from everyone around them. I was too young to remember, but when I was 4 years old, he became a paraplegic. And when I was 10, he took his journey to the spirit world. I haven't been able to resolve the anger that I held on to because I couldn't speak to him. And only in recent years have I been able to forgive him for his absence, as I realized that holding on to that was affecting my relationships with my loved ones, and I couldn't continue that cycle any longer. At present, I am the spouse of a medically retired soldier, another proud, traditional raised Lakota man. We met when we were teenagers, and we married young, at 19 and 20, after he completed basic training for the U.S. Army. Some of you may not know this, but according to the Veterans Administration and the Department of Defense, Native Americans serve at a higher rate than any other ethnicity per capita in the armed forces. In 2013, life changed for us. While deployed to Afghanistan, my husband sustained a traumatic brain injury, a subdural hematoma, and was immediately medically evacuated to Germany and then back stateside. The brain injury affected his memory, his focus, his behaviors. He's a completely different person now, one that I love no less. Except today, a migraine is debilitating enough for him to need emergency medical assistance. It's been a difficult journey for him and for us. I've since become a certified caregiver for him. I've also gone back to college after dropping out my freshman year to pursue a degree in psychology with a concentration in substance abuse that I will soon receive. I've also started my own business as a photographer and recently named award-winning filmmaker for my film, The Things I'm Afraid to Tell You. If you had told me that I would be here in this moment in front of all of you and at this point in my life, I wouldn't have believed you. In my younger years, I used to self-harm. I suffered from depression, and I was hospitalized for suicide attempts. With the love and support of my family, my loved ones, I was able to overcome and move forward. It's in my blood. The Lakota people have come a long way from the days of attempted genocide, from the forced removals of our homes, where our parents and grandparents were punished for observing our traditional culture, for speaking our language. They had to cut their hair and accept religion in place of our teachings. This is the reason why so many of our elders weep when they're asked to pray in Lakota and refuse to even hold a conversation to teach our younger generations. The general public has come to believe that the Wounded Knee Massacre was a battle that we lost. We were unarmed men, women, and children and we were shot dead in the harsh South Dakota winter on December 29th, 1890. We were here long before this land was discovered, and we will be here for generations to come. Even with the pressing threats to our lands, such as the Keystone XL pipeline, or issues that we face today, such as the growing number of missing and murdered Indigenous women, or changing the name of mascots. We are the first citizens of this country, and we continue to fight to be recognized as such. We are brave and resilient. To know that my ancestors and my relatives fought so that I can live is the ultimate source of motivation. We don't need to be afraid of failure. We need to be afraid of standing still. Being able to pick yourself up, dust it off, and try again is what makes you brave. I am brave enough to try and fail and try again, and I will continue to live my life this way. Every trial and tribulation that my husband and I have faced, we've conquered together, including celebrating our 5th wedding anniversary this past November. And we also raise our young daughter to the best of our abilities. It's important that all of you know that your personal success is defined by your standards and no one else's. You can be and do anything you like. Take off in the direction of your wildest dreams. Remember who you are, where you come from, and know that hard work prevails over everything. When you do that, no force on earth can stop you. Blehachiape. Be strong. Wopila. Thank you.
When my child, who is now 21, was in the 2nd grade, they came to me and said, "Today we were all laughing at Jack because he is so weird." And I said, "Oh, nothing would make me sadder as a parent or more disappointed than to hear that you were laughing at another kid just because the other kids were doing that. That's just so mean. And nobody, no matter how weird we are, wants to be laughed at." Jai looked at me and said, "Mom, let me tell you about my life," and then went upstairs, this is a 2nd grader, and got a book about the Roman army, a giant picture book, and opened it to the middle where they had laid out a hierarchy of 2 armies. There were generals, there were leaders of various kinds. At the bottom, there were foot soldiers. And Jai said, "In my class, there are 2 generals, Max and Lindsay, and they are the generals. And the rest of us either get to be a leader or a foot soldier. And I don't want to be a foot soldier." I was amazed that this 2nd grader, this 7-year-old, could do a power analysis of the classroom and understand from a 2nd grader's point of view, apply that to an army and understand that some people had more power in that situation and some people had less, and that they did not want to be vulnerable. And the way that they could understand not being vulnerable was to follow the orders of the general, even when those orders were about making fun of someone else. I'm happy to say that this was not the child that I raised, that in fact, Jai consistently stuck up for underdogs and in fact was an underdog. as a gender non-conforming kid all the way through, Jai knew what it was like to be seen as weird. When I was in junior high, like Jai, we had just moved, and I wanted friends and I wanted to be cool. And while I never was a bully or a leader of meanness, I regret that I went along with some things like Jai did, like deciding that certain kids were not as good as others. And I feel very sad about that. As an adult, I've gotten to reconnect on Facebook with some of the people that I feel guilty about. And to my astonishment, they never noticed me as being mean to them. They probably thought I was weird. I don't know. But I felt bad about it. I felt bad enough about it that by the time I got to high school, I just vowed never to act cliquey and never to, align myself with the cool kids. And that's kind of how I've gotten to live my life. I've never had to work in a place where I did things that I thought were immoral or where I followed leadership that I didn't respect. And in fact, I've left places. I've had the privilege to leave and go someplace else if I didn't like what leadership was doing. And I understand that that is privilege, just as Jai at age 7 understood that army and how it played out in the 2nd grade. Why am I talking about all of this as our theme is vulnerability? In essence, because we are social animals. We are wired to be social. We are born as these helpless babies, You think about mother turtles who lay their eggs and leave, and those little eggs get up and, those little turtles book it for the water and they're on their own. That's not how it is for humans or some other mammals. We need each other. And humans need each other for quite a long time. I mean, even given that we prolong adolescence in the Western world, and that in some cultures 10-year-olds are married, and that growing up happens a lot faster than it does here. Even so, there are a number of years where the little ones are completely dependent on the big ones. And that's where we learn about vulnerability. We learn whether or not our needs are taken into account by the bigger ones. And we learn to do whatever we need to do to align ourselves with those bigger ones because our survival depends on them. When you listen to people who join gangs, who join white supremacist groups, who do all kinds of things that they later regret, they often will say, I was vulnerable. I came from a rough home. I wasn't cared about there. Here were some people who said that they cared about me. And often that care comes along with horrible side effects, but we're vulnerable and we'll go for it because we want that care. Just as a 2nd grader can figure out to whom they need to connect themselves if they are to have power, if they are in fact to be protected by power, we who live in unjust systems also do the same. We decide who the people are who are our people, who we can trust, and who the people are who are not our people, who we cannot trust. And we draw rigid or flexible boundaries around ourselves. Now, it's smart to figure out who we can trust in this world. That is not a stupid thing to do. We absolutely cannot trust everyone, and we see that every day, that there are people who are not trustworthy no matter what kind of leadership positions they hold, who cannot be trusted to look after all of us. And yet, I think as we grow up, what we can learn is that our deepest sense of protection comes from connection in our neighborhoods, with our communities, that our deepest protection comes from the people who are going to be with us, who are going to care about us when we need care, when we are, in fact, vulnerable. And yet we're forced to posture ourselves as invulnerable, to put up shields and to gird our loins each day just to be on this planet, just to be in this world of white supremacy and patriarchy and heteronormativity and gender exclusion, and all the ways that some bodies and souls are judged to be less than. We learn to align ourselves, as Jai did, by looking up. And yet I think there would be so much more power if all those foot soldiers got together and said, together we are much mightier than that general up there. As we reflect on vulnerability this month, we cannot escape the fact that most of us live in cultures that have not treated everyone's vulnerability with equal respect. That while some people get to have feelings and needs and get them met, others are systematically excluded and denied. And so part of what we are called to do is to draw that circle wider. I say this on a weekend that for some is Thanksgiving in Canada, a time of gratitude and abundant harvest. In some places is marked, as it is in my hometown, Minneapolis, as Indigenous Peoples Day. And in some communities and as a federal holiday in the United States is called Columbus Day. Naming a day Columbus Day is a way of aligning ourselves with the conqueror, with the general. And naming ourselves as celebrating Indigenous Peoples Day is a day that teaches us to look around, to see who the people are, the cultures are, the languages around us, and align ourselves with those. As we locate ourselves in these holidays and in our lives and in that picture of the Roman army, as we see where we are, may we each of us honor one another's vulnerability, acknowledge it as a universal, and do everything in our power not to betray one another's essential vulnerability, to be trustworthy, to be friends, to look around and to pay attention.
Facing the guns again, we have faced them before. Humanity's longing after so many deaths, something more human than war. But part of me whispers, take your body and run away. Leave the vision to somebody else, and I hear myself say, but I'd rather be dancing at the edge of my grave. I'd rather be holding you close as we march forward, loving and brave. I'd rather be singing in the face of my fear. I'd rather be dancing in front of the guns as long as I'm here. Life is so dangerous that there's little to fear. Life is so possible, every breath the frontier, and they brought out the guns once again, 'cause they haven't a clue that we could be dancing, the whole human race, each one must choose. And I'd rather be dancing at the edge of my grave. I'd rather be holding you close as we march forward, loving and brave. I'd rather be singing in the face of my fear. I'd rather be dancing in front of the guns as long as I'm here. up through my feet. With millions of lovers urging me on as we take to the streets, as we face the terror. If I leave here before my time, one thing's for certain, I'll go dancing and I'll go alive. And I'd rather be dancing at the edge of my grave. I'd rather be holding you close as we march forward, loving and brave. I'd rather be singing in the face of my fear. I'd rather be dancing in front of the guns as long as I'm here. I'd rather be dancing in front of the guns as long as I am here. Dance with me as long as I'm here.
And now we come to that time in our service when we extinguish the flames that we've lit for this special time set apart. But never do we extinguish the flame that burns eternal, the flame of love, the flame of our commitment to a just and caring world. If you carry that flame, please touch your heart and say to yourself, I carry the flame, and allow that flame to burn bright.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine.
you.